Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. The record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
The record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orit Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Friday, the 12th day of January, 2018. I trust that everyone had a pleasant, enjoyable, restful evening. And I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. For the Record, as you know, is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orit Connor. My two co-hosts in the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield, Miss Teresa Pitcairn. You're welcome to join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are always open. And there is always someone there waiting to take your calls. Normally it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, you can email us at fortherecord. That is one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. Additionally, we have a WhatsApp number. That WhatsApp number is 925-3261. You can utilize that number to send us a text, or you can leave a voice note, and that voice note will be played over the air as well. So again, I will repeat that WhatsApp number. That is 925-3261. Send us a text, leave a voice message for us as well. I am told that there are some areas in the Eastern District, and I can only verify the Savannah area as well as the Beach Bay area, the Lower Valley area, where electricity is out at the moment there. I'm not sure if there are other areas of the island as well. If you are aware, please let us know so that we can at least announce it here on Radio Cayman as well. But like I said, I am aware of the Savannah area and the Lower Valley area where electricity is out this morning. So without any further ado, let me tell you also, we're expecting, today being Friday, we expect to have the official opposition here with us. And we're expecting to have the leader of the opposition, the Honorable D. Ezard Miller, in the studio with us as well. Not sure whether or not he has been delayed as a result of any issues with electricity, because he's usually, on time. Yeah, very, very punctual. So So without any further ado, I want to say good morning to my two co-hosts here with me, Miss Teresa. She's back in the studio with us. I know many people were inquiring, what happened to Miss Teresa? Where is she? Where is she? Well, she's back today. We had a little hiccup there, but that has all been sorted out now, and she's back. If Mr. McLean had come on this morning, I had something planned for him when I was going to tell him making sure that you got rest, a lot of rest, to take him on this morning in here. So rather than putting you on the team and putting you on the field on Monday and Wednesday, we'd put you on the field on Friday where we have some fresh legs to deal with him. But anyway, welcome. Happy New Year to you, ma'am.
Yeah, and thanks. And the same also to our audience.
I was caught in that blizzard in Boston. So, in fact, in those circumstances, in addition to dealing with children first thing in the morning and trying to get them to pee, my Presbyterian roots come right back. And you know that song, Jesus Savior Pilot Me? It comes straight to mind. But thanks very much for having me this morning. And as I said, wishing everyone good morning. Can I also take this opportunity to ask my colleagues and students that I attended school with to remember to contact Pat Macfield at 916-3297. Pat Macfield, 916-3297, with respect to our 40th school reunion, which is on the 20th at the Yacht Club. We have to settle a number of bills. So the sooner members settle up with Pat, and it's $60 Cayman dollars. As soon as folks settle up with Pat, it makes it easier for us to defray a number of the bills that are currently accruing. Thanks also.
Okay. Before I have a word with Dr. Macfield, I'm also advised that someone is saying that they're hearing from South Sound going east is where the electricity is out this morning, from South Sound going east.
When I left home, we still had electricity, which was like 10 minutes ago.
It was 10 minutes ago. Okay, fine. Doc, good morning. Welcome, sir. How are things?
Good morning to you, Mr. For the Record. And good morning to Teresa Pitcairn. I'm glad she's back. We missed her, and we were wondering if she had gone to Boston to reside.
See how they fresh?
Yes, so she's gone to Boston to probably meet the Kennedy clan and to reside. Anyway,
critic.
And good morning to all your listeners and who are listening to For the Record locally, and those abroad and to the Cayman diaspora who follows the For the Record show religiously, I understand. Yeah, it's been a good morning. I just want to let you know today I'm 1 year older.
Oh, wow,
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Happy birthday to you, sir. Happy birthday.
Yeah,
And this is when you drop it on us.
Yes, well, I don't believe in birthdays mostly. I don't really celebrate them because I believe in seasons. Birthdays is only from one day to the next. It doesn't change anything from one day to the next. Or I don't believe in years. Whether it's 2017, 2018, it's only from one day to the next. I believe in seasons because I'm like the elephants. I believe in seasons. In other words, years don't mean anything to me. It's what you do from day to day that matters. So, to comply with the society in which you live in, and to be part of the system, I say, I acknowledge that I was born on 12th of January. So, and today's the 12th of January, so I'm supposed to be 1 year older according to the our records, the records that we keep. That's the only thing I have to comply with it because that's what I have to do, comply with that legally. But it doesn't mean anything to me because I don't live from year to year. I live from day to day. So I just want to thank all those people who already called and wish me a happy birthday. And I hope to be along to see many more. I was reading the paper this morning about all of those
centenarians.
Yes. And some of them I know.
There are 8 listed in the Compass
this morning.
Today. Yes,
I read them, and I listened and I saw their stories and how the reasons why. And my great grandmother lived to be 105 also.
So it runs in the family. I'm hoping that one of these days we will see you featured in here as well. I mean, based on your health and your physique and everything, I see no reason for that. There was one time I recall during the time that you've been coming on the show when you had that serious flu, and other than that, I have never known of you being ill in any way. And why don't you tell our listening and viewing audience your secrets to living a healthy lifestyle?
Well, over 40 years ago. First my first marriage was to a woman who was an athlete. My first wife was an Olympic swimmer, and a lifeguard. And when I went to Canada and I got hooked up with her, I noticed that she was reading all these books, how to eat well to stay fit, by Adele Davis and all those things, and I started to read them. And one of the things that I started to notice was that people who were healthy were not eating red meat and were not eating salt, put salt in their diets, and sugar and alcohol and cigarettes. And I stopped eating red meat over 50 years ago.
Wow.
No red meat, no salt in my diet, no sugar. I don't drink pop. The only liquid that I drink is water and tea. And I blend a pound of ginger, 3 or 4 onions, and 3 or 4 big pods of garlic. And I put them in a big 2-gallon pot. And I boil it down, and I strain it, and I put it in my fridge, and I have a cup of tea in the morning of that, and a cup of tea in the evening that it keeps me immune from colds and flus. I don't drink pop.
You go to the gym? Do you go to the gym as well?
I used to go to the gym, but my son made a gym at home.
Okay.
I have a gym at home, but sometimes it's very lonely to do the exercise by yourself. So sometimes I go to the gym in Savannah.
Well, you and I may have to team up because I had a room for a gym and I turned it into a bike room, so I have all my bicycles inside. And but
Yes.
you and I may have to team up, and because it's always good to have a partner to work with.
Yes.
When you're doing.
I walk 3 days a week. I walk, exercise, and I only eat fish and chicken, and I raise my own chicken. I don't buy the chicken from the store because they have a lot of hormones in it.
Yeah.
I buy the chickens from the farmers market, raise them from the chicks, and when they get 10 weeks, I kill them all, chop them up, put them in Ziploc bags like I do with the fish, and put them in my fridge. And I have my own layers. I produce my own eggs.
Great. Well, I have to say this morning that our propaganda officer or press officer, Mr. Graham Rankin, has fallen down on the job.
Yes.
Because he failed to tell me
Yes.
that your birthday was today. Now, I know
Yes.
yesterday I didn't go down to Rock Hole in the evening
Yeah.
yesterday, so that will probably be his excuse. Well, you didn't come down there, so I didn't tell you. Well, we
Yes.
correspond by WhatsApp, we talk on the phone. So, Graham, your job may be on the line, at this point in time. No,
And
but it's good
to
know.
keep my mind going,
Yes.
I have a regime. 1/3 of my time is sleeping, 1/3 of my time is working, and 1/3 of my time is reading and researching.
Okay.
And so that's how I keep sharp, and always keep relevant.
Okay.
Because if you don't read anything, if you start looking at all these gadgets that they have done, that they have built for you to take your mind away, like all the smartphones and the TVs and stuff, you will never ever be alert. So I read a lot. I read sometimes till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
How many hours of sleep do you get?
I'll tell you, I don't sleep a lot. For instance, I'll go home in the afternoons, and when I get home at night, I'll go home at 6 o'clock, 7, and I'll sleep until 11 o'clock. And then I'll get up and I'll read until 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll get up around 6:30. But on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays when I have to come here, I get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Okay. Well, I don't sleep a whole lot. And the reason I don't sleep is I don't want to miss out on anything. And I
Yes.
say that, when my day comes that they put me in the grave, I'll have a whole lot of time to sleep after that. So,
Yes.
while I'm on this earth, I try to stay
Yes.
awake as much as I can.
So it's the kind of food you eat, it's the diet you eat, and what you do with your mind and your body.
Mister, you're listening? You're listening? You youngster over there,
But I don't drink any liquids. I don't drink any pop. I don't drink any Coke or anything like that. And I don't drink those things at all. None. And I don't miss them. And I eat a lot of fruit.
Okay.
In between.
Yes,
I eat about
yes.
4 times a day, but a lot of fruit in between.
And do you? I find that the fruit, the type of fruit, when I'm in the U.S., you're restricted to those fruits that are grown there. And when I'm in Cayman, I try to restrict myself to the local fruit. Do you find that there's a difference? Does your body react differently to the type of fruits, whether they're local or
That's
imported?
right. That's right. Because if the fruits that you get in the supermarket mostly are force ripe, but because they have to have a mass sale. But the fruits you get off the trees, for instance, are quite different. And I try to find avocados wherever I can get them. Have them in my diet as a salad. I will eat them in my diet as a salad. So that's my life.
Well, folks, this morning we started off by talking about healthy living. And again, I know all of you out there would want to extend a very hearty happy birthday to Dr. Steve Macfield this morning, and I will do that on his behalf.
I'm 38 this morning.
38 this morning. Yeah, that's right. I normally do that as well, that little thing.
Yes,
Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after this short commercial break. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Ms. Theresa Pitcairn, Dr. Steve Macfield. We have three callers. So let's go to the phone lines. We're going to try to take all of those callers before we go to the 8 o'clock news. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
And good morning to Miss Theresa. And a special happy birthday morning to Dr. Steve Macfield. This is Georgia Lee Banks calling.
Thank you, Ms. Banks.
Oh, my goodness. I tell you, I would never call you by your name, Steve, over the radio. That would be very insulting. But we have known each other for many, many years.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wish you, not just for today, Dr. Steve, but for every day as long as God gives you life, that you will be as happy sounding and upbeat and in good health as you seem to be this morning. So God's blessings on you in this new year, not just, as they said, for your birthday, but for all the days as long as God gives you life.
Thank you.
May I also say to Miss Theresa, I truly miss you. And those good blessings for happiness, peace, safety, and prosperity to you, your husband and children, and all your family in this new year goes to you too. And of course, Mr. O.C., I've known you a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
So God's blessings on you and all your family in 2018. And thank you so much for giving me
Before you go, Miss Georgette, I would just like to say today, publicly, I want to thank you for your comfort, your friendship in the 1960s when I came back and I was trying to find myself to get a job, and when I was thrown out and on the streets. I think you were one of the few people who understood me, who became a friend, and who gave me guidance, and who spoke to me and talked to me and prevented me from being a statistic. And I want to thank you for that. I will never forget that. A lot of people don't know that. I want to thank you. Thank you for that, ma'am.
I am so glad that I know we talked a lot, and I always tried to encourage you, and I couldn't understand all the things that were happening to you then. But you see, God has plans for you, Dr. Steve, that you yourself do not know about, and his plans are always good for us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. O.C., and God bless you all.
Thank you, Ms. Georgette, as well. Thank you. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Miss Theresa, good morning to you, ma'am. How are you doing? Glad that you're back.
Thanks.
And Mr. O.C., good morning to you as well.
Good morning.
And to the Honorable Dr. Macfield. First thing I got to say, I am proud as O.C., you can't get into this. I am proud to know, Dr. Macfield, that you are from Mira Street.
Oh, yes, I'm from Maryland. Oh, yes, I'm a Maryland boy.
That, we are out of Maryland now, but our roots are still there.
Yes.
And I thank you so much. And doctor, right now, tears are in my eyes to know where you were and where you are today. And thank you very much, and I've learned so much over the years from you. And I thank you for that, and I wish that you will live to see 28 more years.
Thank you.
And I hope that you can live to see 28 more years. And I am also following your diet as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and God bless you, sir.
Thank you
very
sir.
much,
Thank you
caller.
very much.
One more caller. Caller, good morning. No caller. Okay, one of our listeners wanted to know, Dr. Macfield said, can you ask Dr. Steve if he blend all of the ingredients that you spoke about, if you blend them together and then boil them as a tea?
No, I cut them up and put them in a pot with water, and I boil them together.
Okay, you
Yes,
boil them together.
boil them together.
And then you drain.
And I drain that off and put it in the fridge, and then I take cup and put it into the microwave to heat it up, and I drink it one cup in the morning and one cup before I go to bed in the evening.
Okay. I don't know. We probably won't have a lot of time to discuss this.
Of course, I put a little honey in it.
Honey?
too,
Yes. That's good. On Wednesday, when we had the discussion about the tsunami, the earthquake off the coast of Honduras and the tsunami, and Dr. Macfield, when we had Mr. Simon Boxall in with us, you raised some issues about early warning system, and I'm going to read very quickly an article from the Jamaica Gleaner, yesterday's Jamaica Gleaner, and it is entitled Urgent Need for Early Warning Systems in the Caribbean. And it says, the urgent need for early warning systems is the most poignant lesson for Ronald Jackson, head of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, that is known as the acronym SEDEMA, following warnings of possible tsunami surges throughout the region. Jamaica has been monitoring the situation after magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck in the Caribbean Sea between the coast of Honduras and the Cayman Islands on Tuesday night, causing officials to warn people around the region to be alert to the threat of possible tsunami surges. Jackson indicated that Jamaica and other Caribbean countries would have to begin looking at multiple sources of alerting persons beyond text messages, social media, and news. And he's quoted as saying, it is a fact that we do not have extensively in the region the kind of early warning system that can alert people to such an event. If we look at the time it occurred, a lot of people would have been sleeping. So it means that we need to have warning systems. In this case, it would have been sirens in most of our coastal communities, he told the Gleaner. He says, again quoted as saying, one of the things we have been exploring is multi-hazard watch systems. So, for example, whether the sirens can carry a number of functions which would be only for tsunamis, but wouldn't be only for tsunamis, but other events in coastal communities. But that is what concerns me the most, that in most of the vulnerable coastal communities, there isn't that kind of a facility which would give persons adequate notice in time. Then the chairman of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, Norman Scott, says that the tsunami warning system in place in Old Harbor in the parish, that worked well. He noted that the residents who complained about not having a warning siren in the village following the news of the 7.6 earthquake and other subsequent tsunami warnings posting must understand how the system works. It's a warning system, which means it would only be sounded if there is a threat. There was none, but I am happy about the evacuations because it shows that people are serious about preserving their own lives, Scott said. But the real important part of this is what Mr. Jackson said, that we have to look at multiple sources of alerting systems beyond text messages, social media, and the news, which is exactly the point that you made on Wednesday.
I made on Wednesday, and now I read the media this morning, early this morning, And one of the things that they are rejecting a warning or siren warning system is because of the expense of it. They say the monetary the monetary expense. Well, I just want to know what is the how much does a person's life cost, really? And in Cayman, it seems to me that everything is exaggerated when it comes to protecting the people. And another example I want to bring, and I brought it this morning. I remember when we were talking about the boarding bridges in the airplane in the airport. They told us it was going to cost $20 million. You remember that? They told us it was going to cost $20 million. Well, I have the plans for the airport here. And I would just like to read.
We'll give those figures, Dr. Macfield, as soon as we come back. But we have to go to our 8 o'clock news now. But when we return, Dr. Steve will be talking about the cost of the boarding bridges. And we want to talk a little bit more about this early warning system as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Ms. Theresa Pitker and Dr. Steve Macfield. We have one caller, so before we go back to Dr. Macfield, we're going to take that caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, Ms. Theresa and Mr. Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Steve, there's a couple of things you didn't mention why you're happy to live old. And one of them you demonstrated a while ago. In the commandment, it said, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land. Which means respect for your elders.
Yes.
And you did that this morning when you were thanking Miss Georgia.
Yes. Thank you.
And also the attitudes. The attitude you hold, I find are very important. All the older people have very good attitudes, you know.
Thank you.
And respect for the fellow men. These are some of the things that really make you live old, not just, the food and diet is good too, you know. But no matter what you eat, and if you don't have that respect for your fellow man, and especially on your elders, you're going to die younger.
Thank you. Thank you.
And there's another thing I said, talking about the tsunami warning. I knew about that earthquake about 2 days before, and I mentioned it to several people. Because I have some aloe vera up on my porch here, and I was sitting down there, and there was no wind, and aloe veras have leaves and blow like a tree. But those plants were vibrating, the leaves were shaking up and down. And they were not even planted in the ground. They're in pots up on my porch. So that is a very good early warning about the tsunamis or earthquakes. So most people have aloe veras in their house. Keep a watch on them, and if you find them shaking like that, earthquake or something is coming. Go to nature. Nature teaches a lot more things that all these equipment cannot. Like years ago, before we had in 2004, that all those red shank crabs are crawling all over the place. And we'll leave you off with that. Have a pleasant New Year to all of you.
Thank you very much, caller, for that as well. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yes. Good morning to all the panel.
Thank you.
Dr. Steve.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes. How are you? And happy birthday.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yes. And I hope you live to see many more. But I have something to add to your conversation regarding your birthday earlier on. And you say it's a day, it's just a different day. I understand. And everything, and your dieting and so is very great. But I need to add this to it, which today is the 12th day of January, 2018. All of us, including you, we have never seen this day before, and you will never see this day again.
That's right.
And 3 John, the scripture says, verse 1, 2, beloved brethren, I wish above all things that you may prosper and in good health, even as thy soul prospereth. So while God is taking care of your health, He's taking care of the other physical needs too. And I believe that the first thing anyone, including me, is supposed to do, we are to talk about, yes, He is a good God. He's pure alive. Today is very interested. You're alive and well. So I understand the physical thing, but the spiritual thing, without that, we cannot focus. God bless you and enjoy your day.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you very much, caller. One of our listeners says that they haven't heard any. It mentioned about the stoplight near the cricket field. It is not working at all. Power is out. Police have been controlling traffic there as well. So in addition to the fact that one of the levers, one of the arms supporting the light at the junction of Thomas Russell Way and Smith Road, in addition to that being collapsing, we now have the lights that are out there because of power. It would appear to me as if one of the feeders or something like that must have had issues with that. I'm only sort of like conjecturing here in relation to that, because that feeder goes through the South Sound area and then up to the eastern end of the island. I'm even told that up to Breakers, even in Breakers, there is no power. So the whole eastern portion of the island has been affected by it as well. And if CUC has some statement or any comments that they want to make in relation to it, I do know that some of the CUC staff members, when they're on their way into work, do listen to Radio Cayman, and for the record, we certainly would like to hear from someone so that we can update your customers and our audience as to what's happening as well. So we would welcome that also. Dr. McFeel, we were back to talking about costs.
I was talking about costs. Mm-hmm. When I mentioned that we should have some sort of siren warning, that was quickly trashed. And now I saw in the media that it would be cost prohibitive, and that the best idea for warning is still by cell phone and by television and by radio. While in Jamaica and other places, they have accepted that a siren system is the best system, because you with all of these electronic gadgets that they are saying that they're proposing to use for a warning system, you might be sleeping, and by the time you get up and turn on your television, you'll probably be swept away by the water. And so to me, like I said the last time that the hazard management manager was here, that it's simply common sense, and I was using the analogy of the church bells. While when people died and when there was a wedding or a funeral, we rang the church bells to alert people of the fact that there was some sort of disaster or some sort of happiness into the community. Precisely. So why can we go further and install the sirens? And they say it's cost prohibitive, but everything that has to do with saving the human lives or benefiting the Caymanian people is cost prohibitive. I remember the whole fiasco about the boarding bridges or jetways at the airport. The government told us that they couldn't put them in because they were costing $20 million. They said $20 million. Well, I have the costs here of the estimate for three boarding bridges when we were trying to develop the airport, and it says here, boarding bridges and jetways, 3 new jetways, $4,650,000 would be to buy them, to install them, and to use them at the airport. So it's not 20 million. And it seems to me that I want to ask...
And what period of time that was when
that was in 2013.
Okay.
That was in 2013. 2012, 13. Mm-hmm. I just want to ask the Caymanian people, are they satisfied that when it comes to them for their welfare, to save their lives, that the whole idea of money is prohibitive for saving their lives? It seems to me that no one hair seems to think that the Caymanian people have any value except money. I remember when I was with Truman Bodden and in his campaign, and he was talking about a rehabilitation center for drug addicts and alcoholics and people like that. And at the time, they were saying that the center would have to cost $10 million to build a adequate center. And Truman got up on the platform and he says, "Well, if we have to spend $10 million, if it saved one life, it means that we have won. The consideration for that was necessary and it was money well spent. And here we are again talking about saving people's lives, about old people, about people sleeping in their sleeps when a disaster happened, and they're talking about money. Well, who is the money belong to? Isn't the money belong to the people themselves? And I am very upset this morning and with them, because every time it comes to something to benefit Caymanians, there's a question of money. Now,
Mr. Simon Boxall did concede the fact that what we have is certainly inadequate, that we need to have more than that. And again, that was reconfirmed by what Mr. Ronald Jackson of Sidima said as well. I'm looking at the government e-services, and on the 14th of December of last year, the Cayman Islands government signed an agreement with Motorola Solutions in relation to the new radio equipment, which will certainly help. And I'll quote Minister Tara Rivers saying that the company was recently awarded a tender to replace government's radio inventory with a state-of-the-art P25 system designed for use by public safety organization. The brand new mission-critical radio system will play a vital role in enhancing the capabilities of our country's first responders, she stated during the press conference. She also goes on to say, "I believe interoperable emergency communications is integral to initial response, public health, community safety, national security, and economic stability." It does not appear that the system that they have in place here has anything to do with an early warning system. And I wonder whether or not that there was a thought at the time to look at an early warning system, and if not, whether or not at this point in time, then inquiries can be made of Motorola or some other company to see. I think what you're saying, Dr. McPhee, that people would feel much more comfortable if, because of the situation that arose, and people will say, well, we don't have earthquakes that frequently.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So people would certainly feel much more comfortable if the government were looking towards other solutions other than the use of social media, text messages or whatever, to see what can be done. People will feel much more comfortable. It will certainly be money well spent, and I don't think that you would get any complaints from anyone in the public that that money is being spent unnecessarily. I
agree with you. I agree with you 100%. 100%. But that is what we have. That is what we have. When it comes to for the Caymanian people, they don't have the money. They can spend money, they can give money to other people, but when it comes to the Caymanian people, they don't have money for anything, mostly, and so that really bothers me, and that tells you about the kind of leadership that we have leading the country, a leader in the country. Can you imagine people saying, well, a tsunami is not something that we have every day, because then they excuse it. The waters in Cayman are deep, and we don't know how nature, what would happen in a deep earthquake, and what will happen, whether the water is deep or the water is shallow. We have to be prepared. And I remember that when I was in Boy Scout, always be prepared.
Okay. Before we go to the break, Ms. Susan, I'd like to read very quickly. We have a statement from CUC, and it reads, customers in the areas of Frank Sound, Savannah, and Georgetown may be currently experiencing an outage. Our crews are working to restore power. We apologize for any inconvenience. Power is expected to be restored within 2 hours. And they will give us access to stay tuned for more updates. Now, I know we have a curious public and people want to know, well, what caused it? Right now, they're working towards restoring it, and then we can deal with what caused it afterwards. But CUC has pointed out that they have work crews out there currently to rectify the situation, and within 2 hours we should have power back. Normally, when you say within 2 hours, you'd get it less than that period of time. We have to take a commercial break now. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Mr. Risa Pitker and Dr. Steve McPhail. One of our listeners has said, good for you, Dr. Steve McPhail. I agree 100% with everything you said. Sirens, loudspeakers, etc. are what is needed immediately. What good is electronic warnings if you wake up, there is nothing? Possible disasters are nothing to play with. 2 callers, let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Lucy. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Happy birthday, my brother. I didn't know you had a birthday today.
Thank you, brother.
And Mr. Risa is here also.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I said I called Mr. Karen. Yeah, what I want to bring to your attention, Steve, I noticed as you talk about spending money. I got a copy of the June 2011 Compass, the 21st, Tuesday, 21st of June. Headline says, CCTV maintenance budget, $300,000. This is those TV cameras we're supposed to have on the street.
That don't see much.
Okay? They don't see much. If they're there, I know they're not there because I tried to count a few coming down from East End to West Bay, but they're not there. But what I want to say was the other night, you know J.R. Douglas that plays music and stuff, right?
Yes.
He was out going home or something, and somebody, crazy person, hit his van and clipped it, and then the van fell down and all that kind of thing, and it mashed up the equipment in the car. And he tried to get the police came. He made a report. The police came, but he can't get a report because the police said that none of the cameras caught anything on the road. Now, where are these cameras that we're supposed to have there? You see, this was the biggest racket ever in Cayman with that closed circuit TV on that thing because.
Did it happen at an intersection?
Yeah, I think so.
Because cameras are not located everywhere. We can't have cameras everywhere, and I don't think that the public would want to have cameras everywhere. But I believe most of those cameras are strategically located at busy intersections and everything else, and that is why it makes it easier for the authorities, for police to recreate, not even to recreate accidents, but to see exactly what's happening. But we have to be realistic. You can't have cameras everywhere, Colin.
Yeah, but see, I'll give you an example. You remember some time ago they had some government vehicle that was loaded with all kinds of
surveillance equipment.
Yeah, down at it was parked down by I think that hotel in West Bay Road there. Now they're supposed to have cameras along that road. Now that vehicle, nobody knows what happened to it. I've never heard a report that said they had found it or what had happened to it. And that thing cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. My friend, what has happened to us in this island is that we let politicians and people in government house make decisions that we have no control over. And they go, let me give you another one. Here's the same paper, another headline, Rehab Center for Cayman. And some guy named Roger Pigot was going to propose this thing was supposed to cost $25 million for this rehab center where they're going to have in Cayman. You ever see it?
No.
You ever see anything happening with Ironwood?
No.
You remember the hotel on Beach Bay?
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is what happens to us. These people come out and put headlines in the paper and stuff and make us believe that they can do all this stuff. And there's always an alternative. But this thing with the cameras, I went, like I tell you, I counted every pole I could see from East End to West Bay. And I counted 63 cameras. And they talking about they had 300 and something cameras and thing. I went up into
I'm trusting that when you did that, you got out of the car and looked at each one, and you weren't doing that when you were driving, caller.
No. You can't miss someone if they're there. And all you got to do is going up and you count them. I'm counting as I'm going. And I'll tell you something. I went up into the compound here at the Citrus Center, Citrus building up there. That's where the main thing is. And I was taken into the room and I saw a bunch of cameras. There were about three screens, but 3 of them screens had anything on it. The rest of them were blank. And I could tell you something else that happened. I talked
very quickly because we have 2 other callers behind you.
Yeah. I'm going to just make this quick. I talked to a gentleman, I think it was Mr. Tibbetts or from Cayman back, that was working up there. And he was showing me the thing. And I don't know what happened. But a week later, I went back there, and he didn't have a job. He told me they had fired him. Now, why, I don't know. Why, I don't know. And I had to sign a disclaimer, whatever, in the thing that says I wasn't going to talk about anything.
Okay, sound like you're in breach of that now. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Thank you. We're going out to other callers. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning,
Good
ma'am.
morning, man.
Good morning, Miss Teresa. It's good to have you back.
Morning.
This is the Silver Fat Lady from West Bay West.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And Dr. Steve McPhail.
Good morning, ma'am.
It is so good to know that the good Lord gave you another day of the date that you were born.
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
And I wish that you see many, many, many more.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Now to OC now.
Yes,
Back
ma'am.
to OC. You remember the call you had about the hospital for West Bay?
Yes.
And I did call in too.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't say all that I really wanted to say then, but I said it yesterday, the Sterling show.
Okay.
Why we really need a third hospital, and that would be at West Bay, is because the district clinic isn't just enough. And there's only one night that the doctors are on, and that's a Wednesday from 2:30. Now listen, the doctors come on at 2:30 on a Wednesday until 8 or a little after 8, depending on the amount of appointments that they have. Hello?
Yes, we're listening.
And I also made, I did say it was a long travel from West Bay HSA up to Health City, right? Okay. And I did say that same thing to Sterling. And I did make Sterling know that I lost a aunt, one of my aunts on my mother's side over the weekend because of that long travel.
Yeah, I did listen to you when you call in and Sterling, so I have all those details, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, and about the putting a price on life, our life, the Caymanian life, what a disgrace. It's more than a disgrace, but I can't say all the words over the phone over the radio that I would love to say right now. But God knows my mind.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. You have a great day. One more caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record. We've missed any comments on what the callers have said so far? Ms. T, we haven't heard much from you, you know. You got a lot of time to make up on here.
Someone sent in a query, and I was just trying to figure it out, hence in connection with what Dr. McPhail was talking about, and I was just trying to review it. So if you would just give me an opportunity to read the comment that was made, and then I'll get back to you. But they're talking about the sirens and costs and government responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Have you found it? Let's try to see if we can reach the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Karen. Good morning. And good morning, Mr. McPhail.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. We want to wish you happy birthday.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate
especially
it.
Younger people.
Yes.
On the comments about the tsunami and the warnings, I think I'm on the same opinion with you as in where we need to have further alert rather than telephones, because technology has not that advanced that much that if an alarm comes on, it's going to make a sound on your telephone. So if you're sleeping, you're not going to really hear it. It's only if you get and read it. And how many people that is here? How many people that is going to know that a siren is, something is alert like that? And regarding for Mr. Ackman, I agree with him 100% about the racket with the closed circuit TV, because as far as I'm concerned, as a taxpayer, that's my opinion, we are being ripped off because we are not getting the service from the closed circuit TV that we should be getting, because that, in my opinion, that was put in to help avoid some of the witnesses having to come forward, because that's why they claimed that it wasn't getting enough response from the public to the closed circuit TV. But we are paying out millions of dollars a year on those closed circuit TVs. And I had a police officer that tell me that the reason why the closed circuit TVs are not picking up the evidence that they supposed to, they have them down too low. And I had to tell the officer, I said, well, sir, with all due respect to you, knowing that the majority of it, I said, with the things that are happening around the world, and even starting in Cayman where they're attacking police, if you as an officer know that the reason why you're not getting enough response from the closed circuit TV is because they're down too low, for your safety and other police officers especially, you all make them know that that's the reason why you're not picking up. They're saying that they're down too low. If they put them up a little higher, they would get a better span of it. Mm-hmm. So just bringing an opinion that they need to check into how the government is situated, so taxpayers can get more equal for their money to what we are paying.
Bam,
Yes,
don't go yet. When I was with the government between 2010 to 2013, and they were talking about putting in the TV system, I did a research on behalf of the portfolio from which I was working for advising, and there were cameras that you could buy from a company in Philadelphia that could pick up a gun flash 25 miles away and you could go and within a foot, with inches away from where the incident happened, and they have a similar kind of camera in London and United Kingdom. If they want you for anything, they can put your name into the system, and that will track you from the time you step out of your door until when you come back into your house, everywhere you go. That is the reasons why when the people in the subways try to bomb the subways or stuff, they can tell within hours who they are, because they can track you from once the camera pick you up, they can track you for anywhere along London until you come back into your house. Even if you go into a store, they can track you when you go in, when you come back out. And so what we have is a mediocre system that costs us so much money, and of course the average person like you and I who are the pawns in all this, we don't have any sense according to a lot of people, so we do not have any right to challenge them.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Sorry.
welcome, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. You too. We're going to try to squeeze one more call in before the break. Miss Susan, caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Corner.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Dr. Backfield.
Good morning.
Dr. Mr. Pickering. Yeah, I'm just want to endorse the caller before this last caller here pertaining to the TV cameras. I'm disappointed in government, let's say the RCIP. I had a month ago, somebody came on my premises and stole my lawnmower. And I went to the station to report it, which I ended up spending about 3 hours sitting down waiting for somebody to take that statement. And it have been now a month, and there's a CCTV camera right up from my road, which could have identified the vehicle that came into the yard and took my lawnmower. And up till today,
they haven't even contacted me back to say, well, okay, they have identified such a vehicle. I gave them a window time that it would have been stolen. And so I'm disappointed that all the money that the government spent on the CCTV and they're not being used to identify in the manner that they should be used.
Caller, when was the last time that you checked back with the RCIP in relation to this incident? When was the last time you checked with them?
2 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, I would encourage you to check back with them again to see whether or not any progress has been made with it. And if you find that the level that you have gone to, that you get no satisfaction there, then you may want to notch it up to another level within the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service.
All righty.
Inquiries.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make that point across.
Thank you very much, caller. We're going to take a commercial break now. We still have callers on hold. We ask you to be patient. As soon as we return from our commercial break, we will take your call. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As promised, we're going straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Horicona.
Good morning, ma'am.
And good morning to Mr. Steve McField.
Good morning, ma'am.
Just wanted
Mr. Risa is here also.
Okay, good morning to the other person, and all the best for you all for this new year. I wish this program a prosperous new year and success to you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I just wanted to, it's not a complaint, I just wanted to congratulate the honorees coming up on the next National Heroes Day or holiday. Just wanted to congratulate everybody because everybody that is going in, and for those who are yet to come, and doing the wonderful job that they have done to actually reap such an award. So I just wanted to thank all the honorees. Congratulations to them, and especially to a young man, Stephen Johnson. It comes from myself to him, as I'm his mom. So just wanted to take the time to tell him congratulations.
He's right behind the camera here, behind the camera.
I hope he's not hiding. Or congrats, all the best, Mr. Rex, for everything, Mr. Steve, and the other person, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. And I must say that he's our hero, and you have raised a gentleman of a son, ma'am. You have raised a gentleman of a son in Stefan.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rex. Have a wonderful day, sir.
Thanks. You too as well. One more caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine, and yourself? Happy New Year to you.
Yes, same to you. And good morning to Mr. Bachfield.
Good morning, Mr. Moxham. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes. Happy birthday, Doc.
How are you, my friend?
Pretty good.
Yes. I didn't mention it was probably some of those bullas that I got from your bakery early in the morning that I had to carry to school in my pocket.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes, Doc, I got something from the commander up here yesterday concerning, you remember about the claim I was making about the police using our property?
Yes.
He got some response from his boss in Grand Cayman, the commissioner, I would think. He saying that he can't do anything about it. So my next step would be to where? The ombudsman or who?
Well,
go ahead, Dr. Mann.
Your best step would be to your member from your constituency. You should take it to him and ask him to take it up for you because you have a legitimate claim. And that deals with the government in which they have been elected, and that is one of the reasons why you elect them to look about your welfare. I would take it up with them first, and I would explore all the avenues open to you before you go in, because then you can if his boss does not support your claim, then I think that you're entitled to go to the courts to be able to get an injunction to prevent them from using your property.
Well, they're not using it anymore. They stopped using it just a few months ago.
Yes.
And another thing, you remember the old shed that I tell you that is built in front of the police station?
Yes.
Well, just with this bad last weather that we had up here, all the shingles just about blown off and blown in my property. Now this morning I have to go out there with a wheelbarrow and scoop it up. If I don't do that, that means that the police cars are going to be going over it. The customers that come to my place going to be going over it and going to be embedded in the asphalt that is already there. Now I got to go there and scoop that up. And I mentioned that on the radio a few months ago that this thing was a threat. In knowing that the hurricane season just passed by a month ago or so, and now they're not planning, don't look like to me, of ever doing anything with that building, and it'll always be a hazard to me. And only God knows what will happen when the other hurricane season comes. They're saying that they don't have any money in the budget to repair this building. Well, I'm wondering, just knock down the building then.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it shouldn't cost that much to knock it down.
Is the building, is it vacant now?
It's vacant and the roof is rotten down and all the shingles are blowing off in our property. Mm-hmm. And nobody don't seem to care. The police is passing over it. All the shingles are blowing off from yesterday. I went out there. Now this morning I have to go out there and scoop up the shingles that over my property. I mean, it's a shame and a disgrace. Mm-hmm. And I just so fed up with them. But you know something? Somebody will really pay, because I was asking $94,900. Now I doubling up that, you know, because and another thing, the environmental woman or whoever that comes around by my bakery, they inspect and make sure we had to put on screen doors the other day. It cost us a whole heap of money, and she come here for 5 minutes. She want this done, she want that done. Now I want to find out if she don't have any say by going and tell the police chief or whoever that to tear down this building or repair it. What role is she playing? She just there for the private sector.
So who's the building belong to?
The building belongs to the government.
Well, you're probably going to wind. I can tell you from now, you're going to wind up into a court situation. Yeah. You're going to have to go before a judge to get an order. Mm-hmm. They're not going to respond to your appeal.
Okay, caller, we're going to ask you to leave us there. If anything, you can contact Dr. McPhail off air in relation to it. Thank you very much, caller. We still have one more caller? Okay, because I have something here from the office of the. I have something from the ICT that I want to read as well. That's very important. I want to read that, but let's take the caller first. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I see on social media bodies making an uproar about the horns and you know, the safety and the well-being of the locals here, as well as the visitors on island. And I just want to voice my opinion.
Go right ahead.
In Hawaii, where they have all of these natural disasters year round, you know, they have locals there are more comfortable. They're more at ease if a natural disaster is coming. You can't save everybody, but you know, obviously, as a government, as a country, you're going to do your best to make that best effort. Seeing that and seeing our little tiny island, very tiny, very flat, and knowing that the government has chosen to put a price on, literally on the head, on the bodies of all of the people here on the island, is absolutely disturbing. It is disturbing, it is disgusting, and it is very disgraceful. And I think that the leaders of this country need to get off of their high horse. They need to crawl out of their wallets, and they need to come back down to earth amongst the people's lives that they are putting at stake. They need to understand that has absolutely nothing to do with politics. This is about the lives of people here. They need to show where they are at least a bit compassionate about the people that live here, the people that have raised them, the schools where they have been, the teachers that have done their part in this country, the helpers that are visiting, the locals that have families that are visiting here. You know, this is not anything political. This is not anything to be put as a price. This is human life. And this needs to be drilled into their minds. This needs to be drilled into their books. Whatever has to happen, it needs to happen now. And I urge all the locals, everybody that have, especially everybody that have children or elderly family members who know that if a disaster like this happens, that there's nothing they can do. They need to prepare themselves. They have that right. They have that human right to be able to be aware of something like this and protect themselves, protect their families. I urge these people to just speak out, not just over the radio, but do something. Let us come together and do something, because I was taught, and my children were taught in the schools, that this would not happen, that a tsunami could never come and come to the Cayman Islands. And see there, we got a warning. We were a part of a warning the other day. Now we need to open our eyes and realize that something needs to be done.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Thank you very much. I must make it clear that the government has not officially said we can't do it because it costs too much. When it was being discussed, it was pointed out that there are costs associated with it, but the government has not said, we're not implementing an early warning system because it's going to cost us too much. And I think we will get a little bit more clarity when I get the opportunity to read what was said there. Before, I know we've been holding you up for a long time, Ms. T, so I want to give you an opportunity to read what you have there.
Yeah, and I'm just going to use a broad brush with the comment that was raised.
Okay.
So it seems as though people are disenchanted with the level of silence that government has on this issue. But what they're saying is that this is consistent with other issues that are to be dealt with as well. And what I wanted to say this morning was that, first, I wish all governments well. And two, I don't believe that all governments or the members, because these are people that we know, get up every morning saying that what we're going to do is to make sure we do things that are anti-Caymanian or will harm Caymanians. Yes. But there is a growing voter intolerance and a growing waning of confidence in the leadership. And I'm not saying just this administration. It just seems to be it's a collection of different administrations over the years, and it seems as though because people are more aware and more conscious of what's going on, the tolerance that Caymanians used to have is lessening. So what I would say is, and as you heard the previous caller say, it seems as though folks don't care. And that's the kind of consistent response that you're getting.
Okay, we're going to go to our 9 o'clock headline news. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield, Ms. Teresa Pitcairn.
Can I just say that our leadership ought to take close attention to the scale and depth of public dissatisfaction, because if we don't do that, this is just going to accelerate, and it's not in the best interest of the community.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have a message that was sent to us, and it says, interesting discussion this morning about the need for a Caribbean-wide early warning system. Last year, after the fuel terminal fire, it was clear to everyone that Cayman needed some kind of emergency messaging system. The team at OFREG recommended to HMCI, right? That's Hazard Management Cayman Islands, that we jointly develop an emergency notification system, ENS, which would use a collection of inexpensive technical solutions to reach the widest audience possible. The emergency notification system would use 12 different technologies to broadcast emergency messages. Each technology would create a communications quote-unquote channel, and hopefully the combination of multiple channels will enable emergency notification system messages to reach everyone. Last year, we worked with Hazard Management Cayman to test one of these channels. At the same time, we have discussed with telecoms licensees what technical issues we need to address to deploy other emergency notification system channels. OFREG recommended 12 different methods, that 12 different methods be used to distribute emergency messages. They are 1, SMS broadcasts, 2, FM radio, interrupt, EAS standard, I'm not sure what EAS stands for, 3, FM radio, weather alert systems, 4, FM radio, 107.9 text to voice messaging, 5, cable TV interrupt, ESS standard, and I mentioned that on Wednesday as well, that in a lot of jurisdictions they have these tests. You know, if there's a television station on, they will interrupt it and say we're interrupting this because of an emergency, and they run tests periodically, throughout the year on those systems as well. And 6, robot dialer for localized threats such as fuel depots, IVR, special telephone number to call with pre-recorded messages, social media broadcasts, electronic billboards located at key traffic intersections, 10, web alert crawlers, central feed source at HCMI, code embedded in website, 11, mobile apps, 12, siren for localized threats such as fuel depots. And it goes on to say these are all either low cost or no cost solutions. However, no single, and this is important, however, no single solution will reach 100% of the population, hence the need for several to be used together. Says the office will produce a discussion paper by the end of January to further explore these concepts to seek wide public input on how a cost-effective emergency notification system can be deployed as quickly as possible. And this came from Mr. Ali Famor, who is the Deputy CEO at OFREG. So I want to thank him for that. And this certainly lays out everything and talks about, how we can develop a low-cost solution, but it is multifaceted, crosses, across several different communication disciplines as well. And I do believe that Mr. Boxall on Wednesday did mention, something of this nature, because we had heard that after the fuel depot situation that they had developed something for those persons in that area. I know for a fact that, and I'll say this because the disconnect notice that I got, there's an understanding for it, and it wasn't for my residence, it was for someplace else. But yesterday, my phone rings. I see the number 5200, 949-5200 come up on it, and I said, hello? And I kept saying hello, expecting to hear someone, and it was a pre-recorded message reminding me that the particular billing for that particular location was overdue, and the disconnection would take place on February 15th if it hadn't been taken care of. That was an automated dialing system that came to me from Caribbean Utilities. I'm not criticizing Caribbean Utilities for it. I'm actually praising them for having such a system in place to show that it actually works. Any comments, folks?
No. That is when they're trying to get money from you. That's when they try to get money from you.
Well, they want to make sure also that that the electricity isn't cut off. And like I said, I want to make it clear it wasn't for my residence. I paid that long time ago.
It's not. They don't. It's not to make sure that the electricity is not cut. They want to make sure that you pay, that they get that money into their cash register.
Well, we want to make sure that lives are not lost in any situation, and we want to cover as many bases as possible.
Yes.
So it is good to know that by the end of January, we will have, some sort of, what does it say again in relation to that, that we would have some sort of a detailed reporting at the end of January. So that is good as well.
Is it the intention then for all the sectors to work together, not only those with off-reg, but those relating to what happened in the context of the tsunami?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes. Everyone would be working on that. So I want to thank Mr. Famoy for
Yeah, it was pretty
for that.
detailed. Yeah.
Yes, very, very
Yeah. That's good
extremely,
stuff. Yeah.
extremely detailed as well.
Proactive too.
Yes, very. And it goes to show you how many people are listening to Radio Cayman and For the Record, because, of what we do. Some people think that we beat up on the government all the time, but not necessarily do that.
We ask the hard questions.
Yes.
That needs the hard answers.
Yes. One of our listeners says, caller was right. The caller who called about his situation with the government should go to the ombudsman, and he can also let his representative know about what is happening with his situation. I can't see the government wanting to create a tempest in a teapot in a situation like that, where you have an adjoining landowner, a neighbor, and not try to work out something with it. Now, the caller did say that he had a claim for $94,000.
That seems to be,
and I'm wondering whether or not that is, that is the hitching point,
that is the deterrent,
in relation to, yes.
from getting a
yes.
solution. Yes.
Okay.
But,
Go ahead, Doc.
the examples are here. Once we like new things. Once somebody said to me about the old glass house across the way from us there.
Mm-hmm.
That was built in 1972. Well, I went to a school in Vancouver City College in British Columbia, and that building was over 200 years old. And many buildings, and I just was reading about a building that was just being sold in England for $4 or $5 million, and that was the home of one of the advisors to Elizabeth I. So but here as soon as we put up the new building, we just ignore this one. That's how we do. So it doesn't surprise me that they ignore the little building in Cayman with his bakery next door. They ignore this building here is ignored now.
How many of our neighbors in neighboring islands would love to have a building like that house there?
Exactly. They would fix it up, and you would not even recognize that.
They would take it the way it is.
Yes,
when you look at some of the structures that you have, and I'm not saying that to denigrate them. I'm just saying that to say that we're so fortunate here in the Cayman Islands. One caller or two callers, I believe. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning to you, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to Mr. McPhail and to Mr. Kern.
Good morning.
Morning. I just listened to you read out the letter there from Mr. Farmo, Famani, and thank you for doing so. And very encouraging, I suppose. Encouraging because I know you mentioned that as an example of the fact the government said it wasn't expensive, or that they weren't going to do it. Perhaps I'm not sure if you had or have seen some of the other news outlets' pronouncements on the matter, including CNS. They have a huge article up that says government's not doing sirens. I also listened intently to Mr. Boxell from HMCI when he was on with Sterling Green. I think it was the day before yesterday or yesterday. I've lost track now. And I was not just him. I just named poor Simon, but there was a group of them, and they basically was ruling it out, saying a number of things. They said that they looked at other territories. I posted something on my personal social media this morning because I was wondering what territories they looked at, because BVI has the system, and in fact, the article that I shared mentioned the officials there saying they're headlong on trying to get that system up and running because they too were under this recent tsunami warning. They were a few hundred miles away, but that certainly would have went off had it been working, and it wasn't working because it was destroyed during Irma. passage. They also mentioned, we heard things like it was going to be sounding like a cruise ship horn, which if you listen to any of those horns, it doesn't sound like a cruise ship horn to me, and a cruise ship horn is not going to be sounding at 2 o'clock in the morning if we ever had an incident in the middle of the morning. Nonetheless, it was a lot of what I thought were, I don't know, trivial, for lack of a better word right now, Mr. Connor. So, it's good to hear that somebody's backpedaling or rethinking or approaching it or listening to the public and saying, let's put this in what I got was that Mr. Ali was putting it in perspective based on the incident that we had at Seoul, and that it was something that was on the table.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is what the public has been receiving in the last 2 days from all the other news outlets is that it's a no-no. It was going to cost too much. I mean, we've gotten all this information. All the calls that you're getting that people are saying, government is saying it's too expensive, is because they're reading the news outlets. So we need to get our stories right, and we need, put out the right information. If they're rethinking it based on the public wanting it, then we need to be saying that as well, in all fairness.
Yeah, well, caller, if I may, while you're still there, I'm looking at the CNS article, and it says here that Cayman Islands government will not be investing in a national siren system. So I think that may be related to a national siren system as opposed to, some other type of warning system.
Well, what else
system could it do to all the people in the Cayman Islands if it's not national?
No, but siren system.
Yes.
And what Mr. Farmore pointed out is that, there are other ways that they're looking at other than a siren.
And it must be a multi-pronged process.
Though I think that was fully understood from the group that came on from CIMA from the Hazard Management on Sterling Dwayne's show the other day. So I then called and raised the question, question or concern that we're not. When I think about a national communication system, which is what I heard the Hazard Management talking about, it's a dissemination of the details, what it is, what's taking place, what's happening, maybe some things specific to Cayman in terms of where you should go, depending on what the threat is or what it is they're trying to get out there. What I was thinking about, and I think what most people are talking about, is an initial alert system. There are two very distinct things in my mind. So you can have a communication tool such as they're thinking about doing, and they gave some great details about the fact that we're in phase 1. It's been approved. They talked about the fact that phase 1 involves, I think, the disruption of, I want to get it right, I don't know whether it was the disruption of all text notifications in Cayman. They were working with the regulators. They went on to talk about the fact that it's not going to be an opt-in thing like some telecommunication providers has the ability to allow you to opt in. This is something whereby government as a national security or alert system would be able to interrupt and send out mass texts, and it even affects all those that are within the region if they're close enough and picking up our towers. And then they talked about phase 2 being scrolling text messages across any sort of TV stations.
And those are all been listed by the 12. There are 12 various options that Mr. Famoy pointed out to us. But caller, we're going to ask you to leave us there. We have to take a commercial break, and we're almost running out of time. But certainly, I'm sure that this will be discussed further, and we appreciate your interest in it, your comments, and we welcome more of them as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly. Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Ms. Susan, any calls? 2 callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. again.
Good morning again.
I just wanted to ask Steve if he wanted, or you guys wanted to get a copy of this paper from 2011. It's got some other good articles in there that you might want to discuss because it's
yes, I wouldn't mind any information that I can get. Yes.
Okay. I'll drop that up there for you.
Thank you very much, caller. We're going to make this caller our last call as well. And I just want to remind people that the WhatsApp number that we give out to you, it is for you to send a text or to send a voice note, but not for you to actually call the number. You leave a voice note on it, and that voice note will be played back on Radio Cayman. Yes, or if I can read it later as well. We're going to make this last this call the last call for the morning. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to you, Susie. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Reese and Dr. Steve.
Good morning, sir.
Did you, sir, and Happy New Year to you all. I don't know if I've spoken to you all since the New Year. Happy, peaceful, pleasant one. And with regards to the siren thing, I think that is the best way to go. It's just my opinion. They don't sound like a cruise ship phone. If anyone watches, I know quite a few people do, the old movies on TCM, there are many war movies and so forth, and they hear the exact sound of the sirens, and I've heard them. In reality, they have some old sirens in Miami there, the keys, and they used them in the days of the nuclear war threat and so forth, and the Cold War. Yes, and I think they're still usable. And in any case, you don't have to think that tourists might be kind of frightened and you might be jittery. I don't know if that's one of the reasons for the reticence to the government not wanting that, but I'll do it. But I think it is the way to go, because just as Dr. Steve said the other day, and he said what many people might be asleep at that time. When it comes, there is no specific time for an earthquake to happen. And I think that is a way to go, definitely. And many people don't have all these newfangled contraptions, so don't pay attention to it. I never look at text messages and all this. I don't. And maybe it's a shame, maybe I should, but I don't bother with that. If you want to talk to me, just call me. And I'll answer the phone if I can, or leave me a message, I'll call back. That's what I use it for. There was a terrible earthquake in Jamaica in 1957. I think it was in January also. It's along 60 years ago. And I just wonder about the effects it had on here, if there was any tidal wave or small tidal wave. It was a bad one. I remember it very well. Destroyed roads, it broke down like poles, and houses were cracked, and some houses had severe damage. I remember it very well. I remember the sound of it. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And I'd asked a question the other day, and there are those buildings, I often wonder what you do. You same thing you said, Dr. Steve. We think that buildings 40 years old are old buildings, and that's nonsense, because they're old buildings all around. You look just in Kingston, Jamaica, a couple of 100 years old in Kingston, and there are many houses there that are very old, 200 years old, well, and the same families are living in them. Some of them too. A lot of that in St. Andrew. Right there in Miami, there are lots of buildings used, and they're 100 years old, and maybe 10 stories high, even 8 stories high. There's lots. So I just wondered about the question I'd asked you, any change from commissioner to administrator.
That was the one caller that we didn't get the whole question, and that's why Dr. Steve didn't answer it. So I'm glad you're calling back so that we can hear the question again, and he can prepare for it. Go right ahead, caller.
Year or which term of any commissioner it was. I'm not quite certain when it was. And also, if we have any sort of library in the House of Representatives that visitors can go in and look at the history of our
that we don't have.
Right. But what about what was the question about the commissioners again? Just repeat.
What year was it changed, or in what term of which commissioner it was changed to administrator or so forth?
The terminology was changed from commissioner to administrator, whatever. Okay.
I'll look that up for you. But I believe it came between Major Donald. I think it came between Major Donalds and Jack Rose. I think so.
Caller, we're going to ask you to leave us there. We reached the point where we need to wind up now.
I would just like to say about the caller. I would just like to say to our listening audience that our cameraman, our video photographer, has just reminded us that in America, in the states that have tornadoes, there's a tornado warning by siren.
Yes.
Because that's the best way to warn that a tornado is approaching, and that's by siren.
The other question too, OC, and I have to again, thank Mr. Famoy for the information that he sent us by way of email. My question was whether or not these initiatives involve partnering with other communities in the region, because they will also have similar challenges, and it would actually reduce the cost if the cost is pretty hefty.
Can you expand on that? Because,
So-
I mean, for the tsunamis, for instance,
Yeah.
it was pointed out that there is a buoy out in our port area, and there's one off that would only benefit. It wouldn't benefit Cayman because it is so close to us. If something happened in the area here, it would benefit other jurisdictions
Like
like say,
Jamaica,
Cuba and
which-
Jamaica, and
which is
stuff
down
like
south
that
of us.
because of it. So just the same way that we have our radar system now that has filled that gap for hurricane warnings and stuff like that between Belize and Jamaica, we have now filled that void with our radar system. It seems as if something is needed in terms of the monitoring for tsunamis for that as well. But I think this here is more what they're looking at here is more localized than anything than anything else. Yeah, this is more localized. One of our listeners says we were talking about buildings and talking about the old glass house over there, and say, what about the old Cayman Airways building?
Oh, that's
on
true.
Airport Road, also the old building across from the old Cayman Airways building. Car rentals are using the old spaces for parking, and they're just simply wondering why governments are allowed to, whether government is allowing those to.
Well,
to sit
just
there.
let me-
But that.
Just let me tell you
Airports
about that.
Authority are the owners for that, as
It's
opposed
the
to a
airport
statutory
authority.
Uh-huh.
And when I was there, when I was deputy chairman in charge of the building, of the building committee, we had a quotation to remodel that to refurbish that building, because when Cayman Airways moved out, they had to dismantle a lot of partitions to be able to get their equipment out. And then it was less than $300,000 to put that building back into use and to rent that building out. That's a shame. That's another big eyesore. That's a shame that when we got something new, we throw down the old one and be patter and we pamper the new one until when that gets old, and then we throw that down too.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we have so much derelict vehicles around. But that's what we do when we get a new one.
Okay, we're going to restrict our closing comments to Miss Teresa today, so she got to make up for so many days.
Oh my goodness! See, this is what I don't like about you, OC. You always trying to put me on the fire, and when you're not sprayed in my business, you're always trying to put me on the fire. But yeah, today has been, it's good to get back into the flow of things. And you know me, I tend to sit and listen a lot. But again, the concern that many people tend to have is that folks aren't really listening to issues and concerns that they have. And I would like to invite us to pay closer attention to have more ways of communicating with the Caymanian electorate. And by Caymanian, I mean generally, because the more we increase the dialogue between leadership and the Caymanian people, the more we will actually, I think, do what is in the best interest of community. Because I don't believe, and I keep saying it, people don't get up every morning thinking that, they're going to sit down and figure out what's the best way to do things that's going to mess with the Caymanian
No
community.
one's thinking it will, yeah.
So, but Caymanians are more attentive. I mean, during the New Year, at the beginning of the New Year, I had an opportunity to spend some time with some youngsters, and there were about maybe 10, 15 of them. Many of them have children between their ages between 19 and 21, and they have families already. And I asked them, I said, well, what do you guys do? Well, their view is that it doesn't make sense to go to school, because when they go to school and they get a degree, the opportunities for Caymanians are not as what it is for persons that are not Caymanians. And they believe that, people don't value them. So, and I said, well, you think staying home and having babies, that's going to resolve the problem? And they say, well, not really, but, it's what we do. So I wanted to check in on that mindset, and I want to compare it to what I've been listening to the radio when I listen to some of the programs that Ruth Anna does and some of the programs that Dwayne Sterling have. And the other day, someone was talking about net neutral issues. It was a young man talking about how, and in the context of Netflix, and they were talking about how the cost is going to affect Cayman if they were to take a similar position that the U.S. government just did. And this young man was pretty savvy. And then they proceeded to say that their interests in politics is completely now different from the generations before, that they're not as tolerant. And I mean, he was well-spoken, he was mild-mannered, he was very measured. And so I'm listening to this soft-spoken young man talk about the issues that we talk about on the show all the time. He's not getting abrasive or anything. So if we want to get the confidence of the community, I think our leaders have to behave in a manner that demonstrates that they care and that they're listening and that they're willing to do something. And don't wait until emergencies arise, which will not only affect us as a community, but it can lead to the destruction of the economy, because history doesn't lie. That's what it usually takes in other communities.
Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who is less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day, have a great weekend. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. John Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12 noon for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
Well, Teresa.